When a minister prays where he's not meant to, when generals defy orders, rabbis refuse the draft, and hostages dig their own graves, the facade of control begins to crack. Inside Israel's corridors of power, who really calls the shots? The law, the gun, or the scripture? A significant power struggle is unfolding within Israel's security establishment as National Security Minister Itamar Ben Gvir pushes to fundamentally alter the delicate arrangements governing Jerusalem's most contested religious site. According to a report by Haaretz, Jerusalem District Police Commander Amir Arzani has found himself at odds with Police Chief Danny Levy following Ben Gvir's attempt to change the established status quo. The conflict reached a new level yesterday when Ben Gvir took an unprecedented step, leading a group of Jewish worshippers in prayer atop the Flashpoint site. The move represents his latest violation of the long-time status quo agreement between Israel and Jordan that has governed the sacred compound since 1967. Since Israel captured the site in 1967, Jews have been allowed to visit but not pray there. Palestinians consider the mosque a national symbol and view visits by Jewish leaders as provocative and as a potential precursor to Israel seizing control over the compound. Ben Gvir was visiting to mark the Jewish holiday of Tisha B'Av, a day of mourning when Jews reflect on the destruction of the First and Second Temples. Israeli media reported that this was the first time a sitting minister actively and vocally led prayers at the site. According to Haaretz sources, Arzani is refusing to acquiesce to Ben Gvir's demands, which include permitting public prayer and extending visiting hours for Jewish worshippers. Rather than supporting his Jerusalem commander's position, Police Chief Levy is reportedly working with Ben Gvir to push Arzani out and replace him with someone willing to implement the minister's vision. Sources tell the news outlet that Arzani is aware of these attempts and has informed Levy that he will not agree to be transferred out of Jerusalem to another position. He plans to remain in his post until the end of 2026, at which point he expects to retire. The report adds that Arzani is one of only a few senior police officials opposed to Ben Gvir's attempts to allow public Jewish prayer atop Temple Mount. In response to Ben Gvir's visit, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said the status quo at the site had not changed and would not change to allow Jewish prayer. The 49-year-old ultranationalist settler leader has transformed himself over decades from an outlaw and provocateur into one of Israel's most influential politicians. Ben Gvir has been convicted 8 times for offences that include racism and supporting a terrorist organisation. The army banned him from compulsory military service when he was a teen, deeming his views too extreme. The contentious issue of ultra-Orthodox military service has erupted into fresh political warfare following the release of a proposed conscription bill. Degel HaTorah chairman M.K. Moshe Gafni launched a scathing attack on outgoing Knesset Foreign Affairs and Defense Committee chairman Yuli Edelstein after he published his draft legislation.
Yuli Edelstein released the law today, 3 weeks after he refused to release it because he had hopes that he would remain chairman of the committee. And only today he realized that he is being dismissed.
The ultra-Orthodox lawmaker's criticism grew more pointed as he questioned the very nature of Edelstein's proposal.
It's hard to believe that a Jewish person wrote something like this. Everything with him is politics, nothing beyond that.
Edelstein had previously held the revised bill close to his chest, discussing it with both the public and committee members in general terms without sharing its actual contents. His reluctance to advance a conscription bill based on a June compromise with the Haredi parties ultimately led to his removal from the committee leadership position. Under that compromise agreement, most ultra-Orthodox males would continue to avoid IDF or other national service obligations. United Torah Judaism, which had seen the bill unlike other committee members, argued that Edelstein's version did not satisfy the demands of their faction and spiritual leaders. The conscription issue remains one of the most divisive topics in Israeli society, with secular Israelis increasingly questioning why ultra-Orthodox men should be exempt from military service while the country faces ongoing security challenges. Israeli Foreign Minister Gideon Sa'ar announced this evening that he will fly to New York to participate in a special United Nations Security Council session focused on the Gaza hostages situation. Speaking at a Jerusalem press conference against a photo backdrop of hostage Eviatar David, Sa'ar explained his urgent mission.
This past weekend, Hamas and Islamic Jihad cruelly released horrifying videos of our hostages, Eviatar David and Rom Roslavsky. The world witnessed their terrible condition, starved, tortured. Eviatar was forced to dig his own grave. The world saw the thick arm of the well-fed terrorist next to the starved and tortured Eviatar. We see the dire condition of our starved hostages, yet they still have not seen representatives of the Red Cross, despite this being explicitly agreed upon.
Sa'ar called for stronger international action against terrorist organizations that engage in hostage-taking.
The international community must make it not worthwhile for the terrorists. The world must put an end to the phenomenon of kidnapping civilians. It must be front and center on world stage. This is why I will head to New York tonight to participate in special UN Security Council session that I initiated, taking place tomorrow on the situation of the hostages.
According to Israeli officials, 50 hostages now remain in Gaza, with only 20 believed to be alive. Hamas has barred humanitarian organizations from having any access to the hostages, leaving families with little information about their conditions. The foreign minister also criticized the United Nations response to the hostage crisis.
I hadn't saw any UN declaration about the hostages. Maybe I missed something, so I want to be careful. But to the extent I followed, I hadn't seen one. So that gives you a hint, or more than a hint, about where the UN stand. I mean, it's totally unbalanced. It's totally unfair. Unfortunately, I must say that. And it's not a coincidence that their voice is not heard.
A statement from the Hostages Families Forum, representing relatives of those held in Gaza, said Hamas's actions cannot hide that it has been holding innocent people in impossible conditions for over 660 days, demanding their immediate release.